This episode is brought to you by Whitaker Garage Doors, your one-stop shop for all things garage doors, proudly based in Peekskill, New York. Your home is a direct reflection of your personal style, and let's face it, your garage doors are the first thing people see when they pull up your driveway. Whether you're looking for the timeless charm of a classic carriage house door or the clean, sleek look of a basic wood finish, Whitaker Garage Doors offers traditional options for every taste and budget. I can personally vouch for their incredible service. When I had my own garage doors done, I was blown away by their timeliness, professionalism, and overall respect for their clients. Jonathan, Cassara, and their entire team are top-notch, and they really go the extra mile to ensure you're happy with the final result. So if you're in the market for a new garage door or need some repairs, give them a call or find them on Instagram at Whitaker_doors. Don't forget to tell them you're a friend of Dave's over at the No Snooze podcast. Whitaker Doors. You won't regret it. Now, back to the epi. Adversity? Bring it. The struggle? I welcome it. Snooze on life? Never that. I am Dave Regina, and this is the No Snooze podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 211. As always, I'm in the booth with a phenomenal three. We have Claudio, the voice, Valenzuela, Oren, the big religion, Schneider, and I am Dave, the body, Regina. Oren Shneider is a dynamic entrepreneur with a diverse portfolio spanning art, automotive, concierge services, and networking. As the manager of acclaimed artist King Saladeen, Oren has played a pivotal role in boosting the artist's profile through high-profile collaborations and NFTs. In 2021, he co-founded No Limit Yonkers Auto Body, bringing over 20 years of experience to the automotive industry, specializing in collision repairs and custom services. With a decade of success in concierge services, Oren has consistently delivered excellence for high-profile clients. A natural connector, he's also become a go-to resource for capital raisers, employees, and entrepreneurs seeking valuable connections. I'm excited to dive in with Oren. Welcome to the podcast, my brother.
Thank you, Dave.
Listen, I would be remiss to, one, let everybody in on the amount of caffeine that we've been piling on this morning. So the energy of this podcast is going up, my brother. Okay? You down with that?
Yeah, I'm going to try to contain it, but we'll see.
I call them the big religion because we had the most random conversation off air about religion. And it started with me because you were like, oh, you always been this religious. And I'm like, well, I'm actually Jewish Catholic. Now I'm Christian, Italian, even though that's not a religion.
That is a religion, some people would say.
So that's how we got into that. But I would be remiss not to mention how we originally connected. So shout out to Sir and the entire team at Sir, and Hannah especially. She was dying to connect us. How do you know Hannah, by the way?
Hannah's great. I met Hannah actually at my body shop. A friend of mine, Frank, brought her by when we did an event. And she was just a sweet, sweet lady, stayed in touch, and just started connecting with a lot of people. Just a really, really good person.
Yeah.
And she was like, you got to meet Dave. He's doing all this great stuff. And at that time, I was being pretty healthy and working out, and you were doing this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I want to go. And then she was like, hey, he's got an event. I go, yeah, I'm good on that. These guys are really doing this stuff. I said, this is not for me. I said, I'll meet him in the office one day. That's a little more recipe.
I'll meet him for coffee. And then you slid in the DMs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I love when guys slide in the DM.
Yeah, I was like, this guy's, as you get older, you get a little more comfortable. I was like, this guy's got great energy. I got to give him his props.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And we have a couple mutual connections, too.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool, too. It's just a small world. But, yeah, so shout out to Sir. If you guys see, I do have a beanie on because, my barber would be upset. But I recently got the no wrinkle, no pimple, I'll call it. You were there that day.
Oh, yeah.
When I got a little Brotox, not that I needed it, right?
No, you're doing good.
But I did ask Oren, I said, Oren, how old do you think I am? And what'd you say?
What I really say?
Yeah. What'd you say?
I think 34. I said 32.
Yeah. Well, now you're being a little bit more generous, but yeah. So I'm 35
We're on
years
camera.
old. Yeah, I'm 35 years old, and I think you said like 34 or 36, one of them. But yeah, you got great skin too, man.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah. All right, man. So we got to go kind of all over the place, right? But I kind of want to start with your upbringing and then transition you into the entrepreneurial journey, right?
Sure.
Talk to me about where you grew up, how you kind of grew up, and how you developed this entrepreneurial mindset. Let's start there.
I grew up in Yonkers. I'm the youngest of 5. We got 2 brothers, 2 sisters. My dad owned an ambulance business called Citywide in the Bronx. So if I had to guess, a little bit would be come from him. And he was definitely the hardest on me. So I think like growing up, I didn't own a business, but I felt like I had a business. I was always doing jobs around the house that I had to do and nobody else had to do. So I think that was probably it. And I think you start realizing as you get older what you truly enjoy. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy hard work. That might sound weird, but I think people that enjoy hard work get what I'm saying. Like I'd rather work hard than do nothing, especially when I was younger. So I didn't mind doing this stuff. And I enjoy learning because especially when you're young, everything you're learning is new at that time. And there wasn't YouTube then. So you got to learn everything the hard way a lot of times. Like if you're wiring your fan, you're going to electrocute yourself. Did that many times. So that stuff's always fun.
Wiring the fan.
Yeah, like when you put a fan up in the ceiling fans and stuff.
I'm not very handy, my brother.
My dad was, but he wanted me to start doing it. So I guess he was tired of electrocuting himself. Yeah. Or he just wanted me to get electrocuted. I don't know. Because he didn't tell me to turn it off.
What was the house like though? With 5 siblings, you said?
Yeah, well, we grew up in Yonkers.
Jewish family,
yeah. Prosperous, you know what I mean? Abundant, ample, we got to grow. So when we grew up in Yonkers, I lived with my 2 sisters at one point, and I lived with my 2 brothers at one point. So, and then only until when I moved into Rockland County did I eventually get my own room. So it was very tight quarters.
You graduated.
Yeah. And my grandparents upstairs in Yonkers. So it was like a pretty tight-knit family, which was nice. Every Friday Shabbat dinner, my grandma would go to the butcher. We'd have brisket. She cooked brownies. She was like the quintessential Jewish grandma. Like, we come home from school, whatever you want. Go upstairs, she gives you sweets. You go downstairs, your mom takes the sweets, that type of stuff. So it was pretty good.
You just said brisket and brownies. That sounds fire right now.
B&B.
I'm starving. But my grandmother, she actually, and this will blow your mind, she was the Jewish lady. She made me matzah brie a lot. You know
a lot? Yeah, of course. But yeah, during Passover you do that. Was that your favorite thing, I guess?
No, I just I didn't know what it was. I thought it was eggs I was eating because it kind of looks like eggs, right? And then is it mixed with eggs?
Yeah, it is mixed with eggs.
Oh,
Matzah mixed with eggs. Yeah.
So there you go. But yeah, I thought it was gonna blow your mind with that one. And like I said, man, a lot of people don't know this about me, right? But I was actually baptized, right? But I was also bar mitzvahed as a tribute, to the family. So like I had a mix of both. My mom still makes a fire matzo ball soup. My cousins grew up a little bit more Jewish than I did. So anytime I was with them, we had a great time. And it's just a sense of, it's all the same stuff when you really, at the end of the day, look at it, right? Like whatever religion it is, the core values are basically the same, right? Like a strong family union, and a unit believing in a higher power. So regardless of whatever religion it is, in my opinion, it's all the same stuff. But I think having that versatility growing up is something that like I value now. But it was funny when I was around like Catholic kids back in the day, I'm like, yeah, I'm Catholic. And then when I was around Jewish kids, I'm like, yeah, I'm Jewish. And they were like, you don't look Jewish.
Were you always this big?
No.
Oh, okay.
I had Crohn's disease growing up. So I was the skinny guinea.
Please say you had a t-shirt with that on it.
No.
Oh my God.
I was actually a little thickums, like kind of growing up, like, just like average, but like I was a really good basketball player growing up, but I was like 190 in high school. And then I got diagnosed with the Crohn's and went all the way down to 150 pounds. So I lost 40 pounds in 4 months. Probably all that matzo brie.
Yeah, that's very liquid. You gotta be careful with that. Too much fiber.
Yeah, so now you guys can see that the caffeine is clearly kicking in here. But was there a moment in your life that you realized, I guess from that young age, you said dad had the business. Were you like, oh yeah, I'm going to get into business and like I'm going to start my own thing? What was the first segment into the entrepreneurial space for you?
I think like any boy that lived in the suburbs, once I moved up there when I was like 13, I started shoveling driveways and doing leaves. It's like, if you want to make money and your parents don't give you allowance because I didn't get an allowance, it's like, you got to figure it out. And it's like, what else to do? The leaves are on the ground, the snow is there. So it's like you have a little seasonal landscaping thing with your best friend that lives around the block. So that was the first thing. But probably when I was like 16 or 17, I just realized I never really wanted to like work for someone. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I just like doing what I wanted to do. Not that I was mischievous. It's just I have my own ideas of stuff that I want to do. So, and I've worked for people before, so there's no issue with that. It just I knew down the road eventually I want to be able to do my own thing and I want to live and die by my decisions and other people's.
What was your first big break into business that made you, I guess, feel like you were on the right path to do something?
I guess, well, my first big break, I guess, with my concierge service, my brother, we started because we did pretty well with that.
Talk to me about this. So if I'm Dave the Body Regina,
Not the skinny guinea?
not the skinny guinea,
Damn, only him.
and I hit you up and I'm like, yo, I want the concierge service. What is that all about, and how did you start that?
So the way we started was I was actually living with my brother in Harlem at the time, with both my brothers actually, and my brother Wayne at the time was working a job where basically they'd find, like if someone passes away and you don't know, like maybe you had a grandma or extended family, this company would find that the money's owed to you, and then they come visit you and they commission. So he was doing that, and I actually was a glorified nanny at the time for like a very big family, 4 boys.
You were a Manny, if you will.
Actually, on my pistol license, it says Manny. Because when I got it, I was like, they're like, what is your occupation? I was like, Manny. I was like, this is amazing. They put it out there. So
I love how you did that. You started with the I'm a nanny, and then you were like, my pistol permit.
Well,
you needed to get the street cred up. I see what you did.
I had a feeling that you didn't call it Manny. I had a feeling.
You did.
Usually I tell people Manny, but I had a feeling you correct me. You are Dave the Body.
There we go.
So I figured, But at the time, he was doing that, and my dad, let me go back a little bit, was also a professional drag racer. So my brother and I love cars. Well, my other brother too, he loved cars in different ways. And so he always wanted to start a car service, my brother Wayne. And so we went, it was 2000, I don't know, 6 or 7, I don't remember. And we went to a convention or a seminar for like exotic car rentals, because we were like, yo, it'd be dope to have a Ferrari that we don't got to pay for. And at the time, when people rented cars then, it was like $2,500 a day, not like it is now where it's like $800,000 a day. So we went there, went for a seminar, and then everything crashed for like, it was like 07, 08, and we're like, yeah, no one's spending $2,000 to rent a Ferrari. Nobody's doing this anymore. So then we kind of like chilled for a little bit, and he's like, I want to do a car service. So I was like, I hope you start a car service. So we bought our first car, it was a Mercedes S-Class at the time, and we started driving people to the airport for like $25 in the city, which was like super undercutting everyone in a nice car. And then while we're doing that, I was like, this is ridiculous. After we drop everyone off, we don't make any money. Like the money stops after a drop off, whether we drop them at the airport, if I drop you to Broadway Play or a restaurant. I go, we need to like continue the money. Like we got to make money besides just drop offs. So I was like, we should be buying the Broadway tickets. We should be doing this, like extra services. So then it kind of turned into a concierge service. So that's how it started. So if someone reaches out to us, it'd be kind of like, what are you looking to do? And then it varies. And then also, it varies on what's going on in the world, where if something's going on, we would maybe offer stuff to people or put it out there. Hey, you're looking for a package for F1 or different things like that. So it just varies.
So the story sounds fire. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's interesting.
Right? No, it's very interesting. Maybe to you, it's not.
No, it is. It's very interesting.
That sounds crazy. But how did you get the funds to just go like, oh yeah, bro, what's up, Wayne? We're gonna go buy this little S-Class real quick. Like, how did that happen? Were you taking all the leave money and the shovel money and saving that?
Oh no. When I started that, I was like 20 years old, and like I said, at the time I was working for a family as a nanny.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't a normal job. I was paid very well for it.
Really?
Like very well. Like I had benefits and everything. It wasn't normal.
Wow.
401k.
You should have, but
it wasn't normal. Nothing in my life is.
CV, you want a manny job over here?
I could plug you in, trust me. Yeah, nothing in my life has ever been.
So you saved that money, and your brother did too?
Well, we got an S-Class. We put some money down. We didn't like to buy it outright. We just bought an S-Class. So it wasn't like, it was used too. It wasn't like,
all right.
And we knew how to find deals. So it was both of us paying for it. He had a job at the time. So that's how we started, really.
Okay. Now with that, sounds like there could be a lot of challenges, right? So what challenges can you like look back on now, say that you were able to face that you did not expect, and then how'd you like overcome them?
Well, I'll just say challenges in general for anybody starting a business. I think it's like you start one of two ways. It's either you jump into it or you ease into it. And easing into it always feels more comfortable, but then there becomes a point where it's like you got to decide which way you want to go. So I was easing into it because it was kind of hard for me to leave a manning job where I was paid well. And also, when you start a business, revenue doesn't just come in, and especially when you're doing a business where you're undercutting people, charging $25 for airport rides. So we were like subsidizing our company basically. Like we started to do the jobs to basically get customers, and then we figured down the road we'd raise the prices as we had new customers and stuff. So I'd say some of the challenges are like really working your schedules out and see what makes sense. Like I was working in the afternoons with these kids, so I'd be doing like airport calls at 3 a.m. to like 10 a.m. And then it's like sleeping 2 hours and being up at 1 p.m. again. So those were some of the biggest challenges, like literally like getting sleep, I'd say. And then the next biggest thing is like really growing your customer base in something you're new at. Like I never owned a car service. And I think the biggest challenge is this, having faith in yourself. When you talk to anybody, unless they've owned a business, everyone tells you don't do it. I remember I spoke to a handful of family friends that were like accountants, because like, hey, I'm gonna open this up. Can you help me with the LLC? And this, they're like you could do that, but I don't suggest it. I go, why? They're like, well, no one's used a car service. I'm like, but there's like 100 car services in Manhattan. Like, what do you mean? Why would no one use mine? And everyone, and I don't think they come with bad intentions. It's just based on their past experiences, which now that I'm older, it makes sense, because I'm sure I give bad advice to people sometimes because it's based on my past experiences, which might not be theirs. So at the time, it was like frustrating. That's probably the biggest challenge, like really having faith, because when you start your business, unless you're very lucky, and there's always exceptions, you're not doing well. And doing well usually means like you're either getting customers or making money. And that usually doesn't happen at first. So you start playing those things in your head like, yeah, they told me not to do this. I wasted a year, or I wasted 3 years, whatever it is for you. Because in reality, you don't really make it to 5, 10 years where you could like do stuff and you're making money. And depending on what it is, whether you have inventory or doing service-based, it all varies on like, and then it depends on if you're really trying to grow or not. So I would say that's the biggest challenge, really keeping faith and keep going with people that are, especially in the beginning, like really, you would think would have your back because like they're long-time friends or family, but they don't, but it's not intentional. Right. I would say that was the biggest challenge, because then I started questioning, should I do this?
Yeah, that's great to point out. And I think, I'm sure like CV that resonates right now, because he's, doing this audio-visual full-time now. He took the leap, and, he didn't, you made a great reference. You either ease into it or you dive into it, right? So he's now fully into it. But there's challenges even on my end, like as I've eased into businesses and stuff like that. But yeah, I think you having the mindset that you had early definitely played into the way that you approached business, because you were like, look, I don't mind working for people. I just don't really want to do it. So like you figured that out early on, whereas a lot of people don't. But you got to be a real hustler to be able to, overcome the challenges of starting business, right? Yeah. And then obviously the negative thoughts that happen, right? Do you think being in business with your brother at the time, is he older than you?
Yeah, he's 9 years older than me.
Okay. Oh, you're starting to smile quickly.
What? So, I smile all the time.
Okay. So do you think being in business with your brother helped these negative thoughts that you had during that time? Or did it like, kind of...
I was always decent negative thoughts, because I was like, I've always made stuff happen for myself. And I would say I was a big believer. So it wasn't like I let them linger. And also when you're doing stuff for yourself, small wins are like could be bigger than a big win to you. Like I remember like, it's weird. When I used to drive my friends to the airport, I knew where I was going. I remember the first time I drove someone to the airport, I got lost. Her name, was it Mary? Marcy. I'm not gonna say her last name. Marcy on 34th Street. I remember I picked her up, it was like 5 a.m. and I had like driven like earlier to like make sure I was doing the right thing to LaGuardia. Somehow I got off the wrong exit, and I seen her in the rearview mirror. She's like, what is this guy doing? I'm like, oh my God, I totally got the wrong exit. And I don't even know where I'm in Queens, because at the time I was like, not really, I knew Manhattan well, but not Queens. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. So what was the question? Yeah, I'm lost. I'm lost just like I was that day.
No. Like going through the negative thoughts. Was your brother I guess give me your brother's thought process on this. And was it easier to be in business with your brother at that time versus being solo?
Well, I think everything happens for life and a reason. So the answer would be yes, because I don't think it's almost like with people like, this might have been better, but I don't think there's ever better, because it could always be worse. That makes sense? So there's no reason to say that. And we had a great time working together. So no, I think it was good. We commiserated a little bit, but like we were big hustlers. He's a huge hustler. Like he's always about running around. So like even when people spoke negative, not like bad about us, like you shouldn't do it, it didn't linger long, because we were always on to the next thing. And since my dad owned his own business like for so many decades, I knew it's like, just because someone says something doesn't mean it's true. So I think when you're an entrepreneur, you can't stick on to negative things. If you are, you're not going to succeed for long. There's no way to, because you're focusing on the wrong thing. It's not realistic. Then you know you're not supposed to be an entrepreneur. If you're holding on to anybody saying something negative or something bad happens that day, or you take a loss, you're probably not meant for it.
Enter the clapping sounds, CV, right here. Enter the clapping sounds. I think that's fire, because as I always talk to individuals, the biggest thing that cripples them is their own thoughts. And it's not that we don't all have them. Like, we
Oh.
all have them constantly, but you have to be able. We created a business, Action Cultivates Excellence, because talking is great and the positivity these days is just everywhere. Cool. But you got to really take action, even when you're having the negative thoughts, right? All right, so we covered the concierge service, even though I'm still thinking of like a young Oren driving this S-Class. Like, what did you dress in? Like, how did you like treat people? Did you get out, open the door? Like, there's no school for like a concierge service, but you were a high-class Uber before Uber ever even existed.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, the family I worked for was well off, so like we had drivers ourselves, so I was always getting driven around, like flying in private jets, helicopters, and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was like
gotta
a
connect me,
weird,
my brother.
yeah, it's like a weird paradox where it's like in the afternoons I'm doing all this wild luxury stuff, and in the morning I'm like serving people, almost not really at that level.
Yeah.
So sometimes like it was like I'd feel awkward getting out of the cars, but after a while I'm like, this is my business, I'm gonna be proud of it. So I would dress to the nines, I would get out, like I would be as extra as possible in the best way, unless someone told me, hey, some people are like, you don't need to get out of the car. You know what I mean? And my brother and I were different than most drivers people had, due to the fact that we had other jobs and it was like something we we're doing. So we had a lot of interesting conversations, and through that met a lot of like great people. Because when you're picking people at 5 a.m, they're not going on vacation to the Bahamas. Those are guys flying to LA, they're flying to Texas to work, and like they start asking, like we didn't look like typical drivers, my brother and I. So I'm like, what are you doing? And you just have these conversations, and we've met a lot of good people that we still work with till today, and blossom greatly with, which is pretty cool.
Do you still drive people around, Oren?
In certain capacities, not really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In certain capacities, I do. It was definitely an interesting time. My brother and I built it up to the point where we even bought a jet. We had Rolls Royces. We had a lot of stuff, McLarens, Astons. But, and then when you do that, people lie to you and, you lose stuff. They lie to you about jets and stuff. They say the jet's good and it's not good. So we ran the gamut of like what you could do really in a concierge service.
Okay, but you didn't gamble so far to where you started flying people around, did you?
Yeah, well, as me personally flying, I actually flew once.
Stop.
I worked for we're gonna veer off. I worked for a psychic, and he this is when I was really young. He was like, Oren, you want to fly a plane? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm gonna call this serious dealer HPN. He's like, I'm just gonna tell him I'm buying a plane and that you're gonna go to flight school. So they just let me. I didn't fly it alone, but like you go in there and they let you do everything but land.
He was hard?
No, it's like riding a bicycle.
Really?
Dude, what are you gonna crash into, a cloud? Like, yeah, not like.
I love that. That's the title, Crashing into Clouds with Oren Shneider.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That sounds like a good book name,
right?
actually. I like that.
That's pretty good.
That's positive.
I need some
no problem.
I need some equity on that.
That's not a problem.
Right. Hey,
you got proof, so I can't do anything with this now.
Let's get it. All right, so that's the business there. How did we get into art? Is art something that you were like interested in early? You then connected with a big artist. Talk to me, I guess, before we get to the artist that you managed. Talk to me about your initial intro into the art world.
So my sweet, loving Grandma Elaine, she was a big traveler with her husband, Grandpa Morris, and every time they traveled anywhere, they'd buy something, whether it be real piece of art. No, there's a lot of different types of art, but whether it be like maybe pottery, a canvas, something, and she'd always tell me a story about it, and like she remembered her trip because of what she bought. So that's one thing that always resonated, and then she would actually bring me to museums when I was younger. And the cool thing that she taught me about, which got me a little bit more into art, was I didn't know that all the turtles were actually named after artists. Like Leonardo, Michelangelo, Raphael, and Donatello, all artists. And when she told me that, I'm like, oh my God. Because I'm an 80s baby, like they were my favorite thing. I'm like, this is so cool. And when I found out who Leonardo da Vinci was, I'm like, this guy's like the coolest guy ever. He's a painter, he's a scientist, he's a historian, he's an inventor. And I love history. So that, I was always into art and history. And also due to the fact where before there was any real alphabets, art was the way to tell history, really. So I really enjoyed going to museums, even as I get older by myself sometimes when I would travel, because it's a different way of learning about culture without having to actually listen to someone even. And you can take your own perspective from it. So while I was doing my concierge service, I had a good friend that did my billing. Once a week, I'd do billing with her. And it was like 2011 or 2012. Instagram has been out for like, I don't know, a year or two. So after we finished the billing, she would show me artists that she liked. She was also an artist herself, this girl, Andrea. And one day she showed me King Saladeen. So I followed him and I was like, this stuff's pretty cool. And I saw a piece I liked. So I DM'd him, or I don't know if you could DM at the time. Maybe, I don't know if there's DMs, but I contacted him. And then eventually on the phone, I was like, I really like this piece. I'd like to buy it. I was like, do you want to ship it? Or do you want to come and give it to me? He's like, no, I want to come and give it to you. At the time, I didn't know why he really wanted to come up. His best friend that passed away, like literally months before we started talking, unfortunately died of brain cancer, but he used to bring him to New York all the time. And before he passed, he said, you got to get out of Philly. He lived in Philly, Saladeen. He's like, you got to get to New York. That's where you're going to make it. You're going to meet people. So he told me, he's like, once you said I could bring it up there, he's like, I was coming up no matter what, because he's like, I want the network. So he brought it up there, and I happened to be doing an event with another artist named Retna, who's a big-time contemporary artist. We were doing a charity event, so he came up. I introduced him a bunch of people. We got along. The next day, I said, do you want to come back up for the auction? He did. And then from there, I just started saying, whenever in New York, I'll introduce you to people. And I just started kind of selling his art to friends and clients. And one day, he's like, hey, you should represent me, my brother. And I was like, all right. And that's kind of like the quick story of how we did that. And then one day, my brother and I got him like a deal with the Jordan brand. And then he painted a Lamborghini in 2014. And it was just like on and on and on from there. So that's when I met him.
Yeah. I mean, does this sound normal to you?
For me, yeah.
It does.
Yeah, because normal is abnormal for me, I learned. Like, did you not hear I worked for a psychic?
Yeah, this is very abnormal stuff. So I'm trying to like pick it properly, because to me, when you're telling the story, you're like, like I liked museums growing up, and then you liked the statue. So is Leonardo da Vinci the statue that's jacked with the small Spiepeline? Is that him?
That's David, statue of David.
Yo, come on, man. Why are you trying to play me?
David the Byron James. Damn, how you do that? That's why you do that. Is that why? Wow.
You like that setup, huh?
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, so no, it's very interesting. So as you made the connection with the turtles, like I can see, like I'm getting your brain now. You're like, wow, art, like these turtles, that's super dope. And then transitioning though to an artist and becoming a manager now, off of something like, were you an artist yourself?
No,
or no?
I like doing business. I find that there's art to that. But what I've learned about myself, and I think for everyone, but I speak for myself, it's like I lean into what happens to me, if that makes sense. As in, like, I see things, and I think if you start slowing down life and you pay attention to the stuff that's in front of you, you'd be surprised how many opportunities are there for you. And they're there for you because they are literally there for you to do them. They're not just there for you like, oh, this was cool. Like, you're supposed to go after them. So like when I met with Saladeen, like I was doing pretty good in life, and I didn't need to take any chances, honestly. But I was so moved by how talented he was. And I remember we were in my friend's apartment, Will's, once, and he was talking about his art. And the way he was talking about art was so passionate. I'm like, I want to work with this guy, because I could tell how much it meant to him. And you could get that from people, even not always about art, whatever it is they do. Like there's certain people, they talk with a certain passion and vigor, and like, yo, that guy loves landscape. Whatever it is, like they love it and they know it, and like that's their thing. And there's no confusion. And it's like, I like being around people like that. So yeah, that's how I got into it, really. I just follow kind of.
Yeah. What's the most expensive piece of art that you've ever spent money on?
That I spent money on? I get deals. I'm a great negotiator. I'm not gonna shout anybody out. I've gotten $30,000 pieces for free. I'm not gonna say from who.
Yeah, but like, what's the most you've spent on art?
It's like anything. Dave, you probably have some other businesses. Would you spend money on something that you don't have to spend money on?
No, of course not.
Right. So I don't. So
you've never paid for art?
I have, but not. But when I want art that I really want, it's expensive. I figure out a way to get it one way or another.
Okay.
Like I used to barter.
Switch the question then.
Yeah.
Well, finish that statement. Go ahead.
I used to barter my Rolls Royce out for art.
Got you.
I used to barter a lot of stuff. Sometimes I'd sell a piece instead of getting commission. I'd take a piece of art.
What's the most expensive piece you've sold?
Well, I'll just talk about Saladeen's art. I've sold a $80,000 piece for Saladeen to someone in Australia.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Do you think I can be an artist?
I think everyone's an artist.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of confidence to be an artist, though.
I could literally scribble on a paper and be like, yo, this is fire right here. This meaning to me might be something that I'm so passionate about. But then somebody else like you would buy into it and be like, oh my God, this is great.
I wouldn't. But maybe some other skinny guinea.
Are you looking to elevate your brand with captivating visuals and immersive sound? Look no further than the home of the No Snooze podcast, Kai Visions Productions, your go-to destination for cutting-edge audio and video production. At Kai Visions, we don't just create content, we create experiences that leave a lasting impact. From podcasts, YouTube variety shows, sleek corporate videos, to attention-grabbing promotional campaigns, our team of experts is dedicated to turning your vision into reality. Choose Kayi Visions for a production experience like no other. It's time to make your brand known. Contact us today at kayivisions@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at Kayi Visions. Kayi Visions Productions, where audiovisual excellence meets innovation. Now, back to the epi. NFTs.
Yeah.
I want to pick your brain on this. I don't know
Sure.
about anybody else who's listening. What is an NFT? And like, because some analogies that I've seen or I've heard, and then even some of the NFTs that I've seen, they look like Pokemon pictures. Like, it looks like nonsense to me. Explain what an NFT is.
Yeah. So it stands for non-fungible token, as opposed to other tokens that can be broken up to very little pieces. You get them, it comes complete. You can't buy a half NFT. So just like anything in this world, when something comes out new, this is all my belief, just so we're clear.
Okay.
I'm not speaking for anybody. There'll be bad actors in anything that happens. So people will take it any which way they can. So I think there's good NFTs and there's bad NFTs. Just like there's good companies and there's bad companies in this world. I remember I had some friends in Wall Street and they were like crapping on crypto and NFTs. And I'm like, bro, you have companies like Enron that did horrible stuff. Like there's bad people everywhere and there's good people. So it's just about doing your due diligence and finding what you believe in and you know, taking a chance kind of. That's like my thought of NFTs. I think they serve a real purpose. I think they're gonna serve a bigger purpose in the authentication world. I think one day you won't be waiting for the DMV for your titles. There'll be a New York DMV wallet that will send you your title, and there'll be no question. You won't have to question like, this will make me a fake title, stuff like that. I think that's more the purpose of authentication, and I think it's going down there. And there's other applications to it as well. Like I think maybe certificates and graduation diplomas will be given like that, so people can't question it. So I think that's the real purpose of it, and it is going down that path. But there's a purpose to art where there's authentication because there's people that sell fake art, right? And even Sotheby's sells fake art on purpose a lot of times. You could check in lawsuits. But if you saw who had the NFT and the real piece, you could see who actually owned it. However, you also have to be realistic. I was born in the 80s. I was born around screens. But kids these days are literally born with screens in their hands, iPads, everything. So if you were to kind of think like, okay, if you try to think like them, it's like realistically, art to them is gonna be a little different. Like they might find a 3D file or something like art, and that's very cool to them, and that might be the future. And then think about this: if I was traveling, right, and I love art so much, and I was like staying, like say at a business, I was staying in France or wherever, in an Airbnb or a Marriott for a month, I can't really bring a canvas. I could bring a canvas with me to put up there to enjoy it, but that's probably not realistic, right? Anything's possible, but it sounds ridiculous. Imagine that, because companies, like, you know, they grow and they understand what's happening. Imagine like a Marriott realizes like, okay, it's 2035. People love the digital art. And you're staying in a suite and there's 3 or 4 Samsung frame TVs and you could plug your wallet right to it. You could travel with all your freaking art, all your NFTs, and you could switch it out and everything. So I think there's a future for it. I think it's got to find its path, just like anything that takes time. But I definitely think there's a future in digital art. It's just that it needs some people, not regulation, but needs people like kind of like the right people a part of it, and everyone kind of like being like, yeah, this is it. But I definitely think there's a future because how cool would it be to be able to travel with your art? You can't do that now.
No, you know what's crazy is, and I really appreciate your your insight on it, because somebody like me, you know, I'm just very ignorant, for a lack of a better word, but I'm ignorant to art and the NFT world. Like to me, again, like I said, I've seen like figures of like Pokemon that are selling for like millions of dollars. I'm like, what is this stuff? When you break it down like that, it's like, of course I agree with that. And like, how wouldn't that benefit me if I'm traveling doing a speaking engagement, say, and I want, you know, my art, which happens to just be pictures of my child or whatever it is, right? Or memories of, you know, certain things in my life. I can now put that up in my hotel room, right? Like I think everybody can relate to that.
Well, the bigger applications for NFTs is also like, say you're doing a speech and everyone came, you could literally give them the NFT for that event and they could create a scrapbook of NFTs. But yeah, I went to 5 Dave's events and look at these cool NFTs and show it. Like if you give me a ticket or a piece of paper, first I'm not carrying around with me every day. It's just not realistic. And then it's also might get ruined, or if it's my scrapbook, whatever. But if we're at dinner and like, oh shit, look at your NFT wallet. Yo, I didn't know you could start even connecting on stuff with that, you know, which is really cool. And then there's even just for access purposes. Like say if there's a big concert, there's so many applications to it, like, and you're supposed to get backstage, it's so much easier to see what's real and what's not real because they can see it on the NFT. Like there's no question that you can't fake a holographic badge. I mean, you can fake you can fake all that now. But NFT is very hard to because you can see it has to come from that wallet. So there's no question. So there's a lot of applications, and I think as people dig into it and the right people dig into it, more and more great usages will come for it. Will come from it.
I got a question for you. What would be, I guess, the biggest misconception that people have about the art industry when it comes to business and the entrepreneurial world?
I think it depends on how much they know about art, because art is the only, I believe, or it's definitely the most unregulated industry. So it depends on how much you know about the art world of understanding what your misconceptions will be. But I think misconception-wise, it's changed where it's like, I think galleries had a position in this world, the art world, as in like they were supposed to bring artists to collectors and big up them. But I think that's changed due to the fact of social media, where I think some galleries still stick to that and really do what they're supposed to do. And other galleries move it as such a business, which it is a business. But then when you're moving it as such a business, it kind of takes away from what it is, which is art. Even though you're selling a product, I think it's one of the few things that has to be sold and taken a certain way, because I always tell people, I don't sell art. I let people buy art from me. Because if I'm selling it to you, you probably shouldn't buy it. You should be wanting to buy it, especially in the beginning. If you're buying art and it's not for an investment purpose, where you're not spending $500,000, $1 million, or $100,000 and buying a dead artist, I would say, because that's only certain artists that's an investment, because they can't do anything wrong anymore, really. I think you need to be buying what you like. I tell people at first, always, because if you're starting out, you're gonna hang it on your wall, and the last thing you want to do is buy something you don't like and look at it every day. So I think it's about I tell everyone, take your time, go to galleries, go to museums, and find what you like, because it's so easy today to be pushed and pulled into like trends and be like, oh, everyone's collecting him or her, so let me do that. And that's like, I don't want to say the last thing you want to do, but like, it's a very individualistic thing when you buy art. It should mean something to you and speak to you. And that's literally the reason why I worked with Saladeen, because what he did spoke to me, his art. And even to this day, I have so many stories where I've sold art to people where I've been amazed about what they've taken out of his paintings, and even the way I've met them and how they found his paintings from all across the world.
It's a whole different world for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm listening and I'm thinking in so many different directions because I'm not familiar with it, you know?
Well, I'll give you the number one misconception. I think just like anything, people believe just because some a gallery or auction house has a status or a brand, let's call it, they have to trust them. Like I said, a lot of these auctions have sell fake paintings, whether they know it or not, but they're brought to court and it looks very bad. Even galleries sell fake paintings. So I think the misconception is just because someone is known means you can trust them. I think that goes also along the lines of anything in business, really. You know, we find out these days. So, but I've been surprised, especially when I started, I was like, wow, I can't believe this gallery sold a fake painting. And I dig in and I'm like, well, did they sell a fake painting and knowingly do it? Or did they not? Like, and it gets a little fishy because some paintings are so old, it's like, how do you really know? And there's ways to know. And then there's also like, the biggest example is the most expensive painting in the world, by Leonardo, that sold for $450 million when it to someone in Asia. When it first sold decades ago, it was sold and everyone said it was a fake Leonardo. It was sold for like $5,000 or $10,000, and then 50 years later they say it's real and it sold for hundreds of millions. How does it change like that? I don't know. It's a great way to move wealth around on a small piece. You know?
Yes.
I'm just
Wow.
thinking.
How'd you end up in the auto body world, right? So shout out to No Limit Yonkers, right? That's your auto body.
Yep.
And I know that you mentioned that dad was interested in drag racing when you were younger.
Yeah.
Was there a correlation there, and how'd you get into like the auto body world?
Well, I wouldn't say it's like a direct correlation but it's a correlation, like I was saying before. My brother and I love cars and always want to do something in cars. So anything we could do in cars, we enjoyed. But I think when you start doing business and you start seeing other outlets where when you run a concierge, I think when you do anything nowadays, you'd be surprised. Like, you could be a waiter or waitress and your client might be like, ask you something that has nothing to do with waiting that day. You might be a real estate agent and then someone buys a house, like, hey, do you know a good restaurant, whatever. People start asking more from you than what you do. So especially as a concierge, like if someone got an offender band, they're like, where should I take my car? What should I do? Especially with big car guys as well. My brother and I went to rallies, so we had a big car community. And we were like, for a long time, we wanted to open a body shop. And Jose, who owns No Limit, great guy, he also became a very good friend, and he was a sponsor for a lot of our rallies. He like kind of put us on the game about, it's a good business, especially if you have a strong community in the car world. So for a while, we were looking for a body shop, because nowadays you can't just put a paint booth anywhere because of chemicals. So you want to buy an existing one. So it took a couple years to find it, and we also wanted to find one where we had roots. So that's why we wanted to go to Yonkers. So that's how we found it in 2021.
In 21. Now, how many people you guys have working under you?
At the body shop?
Yeah, at the body shop.
About 10 people.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit about management and your management style. I'm very interested. I would love for you to be my boss.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, maybe I'd love it, maybe I'd hate it because you are a little scatterbrained, which goes against my personality because I do like attention to detail on things. And I know you're very attentive to things for sure, but you're involved in so many different things. How do you lead people and how do you find success leading people?
Well, I think as you start doing more business in life, you understand what you're good at and you understand what you're not good at. So I try to stay away from the stuff that I'm not good at, and
Like
I don't
what?
try to act.
What
I don't fix the cars, and I don't go up to the guys telling them how to fix the cars. I have a partner, Lewis, that tells them how to do it because he knows what he's doing. He is like 25 years into this world of doing it, painting, welding, bodywork, all that stuff. So I do more of the back end and customer acquisition, going to dealerships and stuff like that. So I think it's about being realistic about what you know you could do instead of taking on more or even trying to BS people. And then the other thing that we do that I think makes a big deal in the body shop world is we kind of take more of a human approach, I'd say, where we don't fast talk people. We really try to walk them through the process of everything. Because a lot of times, well, first of all, this is one of the few businesses where people come in and they're not in the best mood usually, obviously.
Yeah.
Unless they're coming in for like a custom job. They're like, they just got in an accident and depending how bad it is, it can be really bad. So they're already coming in flustered, so you got to like calm them down sometimes. And then go from there, and you're really there to help them out. So it's a pretty interesting dynamic and psychology to that when you do it, because you could easily put someone off by being like, brash about it, or like trying to, or even just like waiting for them to deal with stuff. Like they might be like, oh, my insurance not calling back, or I need to go to the hospital. So depending on the person or what they're going through, you really need to know how to walk them through it. So I handle more of like the desk stuff like that when I'm around. When I'm around.
You seem like a people person.
I love people.
You do.
Yeah.
And do you think that's a big, I guess, character trait of yours that has gotten you as far as you've gotten in life?
Yeah. I've learned I'm really good at, I wouldn't say identifying talent, but realizing people that are great at what they do. And I also great at finding just great people in general. But I think that comes along the way with, and I'm sure you found this, when you start finding who you are, like you're just saying you read the Bible every day and you're faith-based, you just start connecting with good people. Like I travel the world somewhat frequently, infrequently, randomly. And it's like I just came back from Mexico City, and while I was there, randomly someone hit me up that was coming in town, and like we had a couple meals together, and it was like real cool, and it was a nice time, but it was just so random, and that happened to me a bunch of times before. So it's like you just start meeting people if you're a good person, I realize, and once you realize how good it is to be a good person, it's like almost like you get a high from it.
You also, and this is me talking on personal experience, right? Like we had one phone call, and I told you like, oh, I'm gonna be at Sir tomorrow 2:00. You're like, cool, like I'll just meet you there, right? And like nowadays, I don't think that's really the norm of people. It's like, I think the way that you grew up, and I'm an 80s baby too, even though I'm 89, the real
You made it.
The real 80s babies pushed me off to the 90s, but the 2000s babies still give me my respect where my respect is in the 80s.
Lucky guy.
So I'm a unique blend, but I think having that old school like mindset that you have and that old school experience of being a hustler, but really like being able to meet people. Like we had one conversation and you were like, yeah, I'll meet you there at 2:00 tomorrow. And you just like walked in and it was like, cool. It was like, just like this regular conversation. And I think you have a very unique ability to connect with people, which I would say that has definitely gotten you to where you're at today, because I think relationships are everything in life. I truly believe that as I'm, like honing into my skills and, I consider myself a leader of people just in general, but to be a leader of people, you have to be a leader of your own life for sure. But also it's all about relationships. People who do not have good relationships in life, they're going to find struggles along the way. Would you agree with that?
I agree. I also think people are confused with what relationships are. I think due to COVID and Zoom coming so popular, which is a great thing, because you could like, it's a lot of accountability and get a lot done, but there's nothing like meeting people in person. And I think people have, and with social media, have false relationships because of that. That's why I'm so keen on like meeting people. Like when I went to Mexico City, I had been messaging and talking to someone for 2 years prior to that. And me going down there, walking around an art fair with this one person, I got more done in 2 hours than got done in 2 years with them. And it wasn't a language barrier. They spoke perfect English. And I always talked to them on the phone, but it's like, there's so much more when you're with somebody and they can feel your energy, your body expression, and you're actually doing stuff. And like, she connected me with so many people while I was down there. It was amazing. And now we have like stuff we're gonna work on. And not that she wouldn't do that prior, it just like, so much more gets done. So like when I seen the stuff you posted, I go, I love to connect with this guy. He's doing great stuff. He's in the neighborhood where I am. So I was like, I definitely want to meet him. But I think a lot of people, I don't know if they're hesitant to, or they feel like it's their, again, like almost like the NFTs, like kids are growing up on screens where it's kind of the norm where it's like fire sign, but like, I don't need to meet up with you. So I'm not upset, or I can kind of understand why people may not do that at a younger, because that's their norm. Mm-hmm. So you can't be, it's kind of like your grandparents or your parents, like that are stuck in the ways with some stuff. Like I think everyone deals with their parent. I think everyone has problems with their parents, but could deal with other people's parents easier. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think everyone can relate to that. I was commiserating with one of my oldest friends, Steve, recently. I've known since we were 7 recently, about our parents. And it's funny, but it's like, it's because they grew up a certain way. So it's like, you got to respect that. And the same thing with these kids. So it's like, I'm not mad when I deal with younger people, especially when I'm dealing with crypto stuff, where it's like, yeah, this, and it's like, go on Telegram, dude, why do I have to talk to you on 15 encrypted apps for you to say hi? Like, what is going on? Like, what is the next thing you write to me? Like, I'm feeling a scam coming, I'm pretty sure. Why is this encrypted? So, but that's just the way they do business, because they feel comfortable. So, yeah.
And I think something that ties in now, transition a little bit, but still within the business world. Talk to me a little bit about customer acquisition. Like, from all your business endeavors, right? Acquiring customers is something that drives the business.
Yeah.
What is something that you do really well, I guess, to acquire businesses, and some like tactics? And again, these probably, like, I don't know if you even think about these because it's just the person that you are. But, you know, this podcast, I do want people to tune in and receive value to what Oren is saying. So if you can kind of break down, I guess, your customer acquisition process.
I'll give you the cheat code. I bring value to anybody I'm trying to acquire. So if I know your name, I'm going to look you up and see what you're into. And if I don't know anything about it, I'm going to look up stuff about that world. And I'm going to probably get 5 buzzwords. If you're in the energy field, if you're in stocks, whatever you're in, I'm going to come with 5 buzzwords that make sense. I'm going to know how to use them. Because if you can relate to someone, that's a big thing. Or if you can even teach somebody one thing they can learn about something, they take that away and teach someone else. They're now, like, all the time I try to, like, especially art. Because like you said, there's a lot of people, even people that know about art, there's so many artists out there and there's so many different mediums, they don't know all about it. So if you could bestow some sort of knowledge to them that they can then like take to someone else, that's huge. Imagine like some stuff I told you today. You might bring it to a friend at one of your meetings and you're like, yeah, Oren taught me this. Now my name's been sent to him, and it's not like you're trying to sell something. Oh, this guy Oren, all right. Maybe he'll meet me one day or hear another thing. But that's the best tip I can give, is like, come with something you could teach somebody that's simple. Don't bring some over the top thing you don't know about or can't speak about or words you don't know. And also bring something that's in their field so they're like, wow, this guy's pretty knowledgeable. Those are the best tips for customer acquisition, I'd say. Because otherwise, it's like, if you can't relate to someone, it's like, there's no common ground. And then you're just selling them. I think the worst thing to do is sell someone, because they know you're there to sell them. Like when I go to dealerships or when I talk to people, I'm never like, oh, this, that. I try to talk to them about whatever's happening that day. I ask them about their family, what they do, and I just talk to my life, because they already know I'm there. There's no confusion. I didn't reach out to them. The connection wasn't made because I'm like, I'm looking for a new friend. Like, no, I'm okay. I'm good. I have enough friends. I'm cool. I'm content right now with that. So they know why you're there. So it's like, oh, well, this is the best. It's like, you don't got to tell them that. They probably did their research anyway. So that's my best tip. I would do some small research on them or their industry so you can relate to them a bit.
And now, do you think that works for people who may not identify as a extrovert?
Yeah, well, it'll help you be extrovert, I think.
Right.
Because you feel comfortable. Because I think the biggest thing is like, I'm not going to talk about personal life.
You're getting a little slouchy, right?
Yeah, well, not that. Oh, I was about to say something that I was like, I don't want to go down my personal life road about stuff.
Oh, let's do it. Come on.
Do you really want to?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm an introvert, extrovert, and I was started dating last couple of years a little bit, and I was a bit of an introvert, which would surprise some people. And what I learned is like, once you feel a little comfortable with stuff, then it makes you get out of that shell. So if you have something that, if I know I'm talking to you about whatever, you know, one of your industries, and I have some common ground, they're just easier to talk to you about it. So that's why it's a good tip to do that. Like, have something to talk about and relate about, you know?
I love the simplicity of the 5 buzzwords. I think that's so like tactical.
Yeah, well, I think it's like everyone tries to overdo stuff. That's the worst thing you could do. I think when you talk to anybody that runs a successful business, it's like simplicity first with everything. Even the people that are doing like the most wildest like things that are so in depth, everything starts with a simple step. That's why it was like one step at a time, which is realistic. You could have like big goals and want to get to it, and that's great, and you should have that. But if you're like trying to do 3 things at once, it's usually not going to go well.
And you can actually speak to that because you're somebody that
It's not going well.
Started what?
Well, no, I'm kidding.
No, that started with just a concierge, even the concierge service, but then ended up with a jet. Like that's crazy. But like you probably just didn't say like, oh, I'm gonna get a jet.
No, that was never in the books. But I think there's other things. Sometimes people have plans and they're like, just because your plans don't go how you want, doesn't mean it wasn't a good thing. Like I got taken for a ride, no pun intended.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this an actual ride or?
I didn't. Funny enough, I'm like such a weirdo that even when we bought the jet, I was like, I'm not riding onto this jet till it's fully like you have to get a part. I think it was like 125, 130, 125 certificate, so you can do charters. And my brother and our other partner, like they were doing rides on it on a other certificate. And I'm like, until our thing is all ours, I don't want to do it. And when it landed, it already had problems. So it was like, I was like, this is crazy. Like you get taken for a ride in life, and it's like I could be really upset and every day think about, wow, I got taken for this much money and think about it every day, but that wouldn't help. So instead, I look at it like, okay, that was a lesson I learned, and it's gonna stop me from getting hurt in a way bigger lesson, whether it be emotionally, financially, or whatever. Being alert and aware of now other stuff, which I don't know if it has because I've stopped other stuff that's happened before it happened, but I'm so much more alert and aware because of that now. But I think it's like some people, they take losses like the wrong way. I think you got to take everything a positive way. Why take it the negative way?
Yeah, there's a great saying. It's a lesson or a blessing.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only way to look at life. But it's tough, though, because in the moment, especially like in the financial world, and I struggle with this, right? When I take risks and I lose money, I'm not happy about it.
I don't
like,
think anybody is.
What?
I don't think anybody is.
No, but like
moment.
I do let that like affect maybe my next investment. You know what I mean?
Well,
and that kind of cripples me. But also like the way I justify things and like the way my investments are set up is the same way I live my lifestyle. It's like the long, slow play, over time, stock market, all that. But like I've taken losses. Like I lost thousands of dollars on Peloton. I took a big risk with them. I was on the podcast telling people like, yeah, this is an investment that's gonna hit, boom, and it just didn't, and that's okay. And it definitely was a lesson for me to not go all in like I originally thought because it just worked for my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right. But no, I think if you view it that way, but I do think a lot of people get crippled when they make.
You know why they crippled?
Yeah, talk to me. Why?
Emotions. Emotions aren't used, like they're not supposed to be used to direct you where to go. Emotions are to warn you when to stop. That's where people get confused. A lot of times emotions, people use them to like direct themselves. Don't do that. Use your brain for that. Use emotions tell you when there's about to be a problem. Maybe come off the gas, but don't use emotions how to move forward, I would say.
My girlfriend always tells me when emotions are high, intelligence is low.
That's accurate. That's why I feel very lucky. Like I used to be pretty hot-headed. Anybody that knows me for a long time would know like I would go off pretty easily. And now I'm like pretty cool, calm, and collected, and I live so much happier. And I'm dealing with a lot more in life than I used to, but it's just I know how to deal with it. And even when I get frustrated, I might like scream my head or go to a separate place to scream or punch something, but I won't talk to that person at that time. I'll either take a minute, hour, or a day, because whatever it is that's bothering me, I don't want to take it out on someone. And usually 99% of things, unless someone's physically hurt, it's not that serious where it needs to come out like that. And you're just gonna make the problem worse, I learned. And I don't like how my body literally feels like that, because then it's just like a domino effect of other stuff for that day I've learned. Because when you're doing so many things, you never know what you wake up to every morning. Like I've woken up to stuff where I'm like, oh my God. And it's like 7:30, 5:30 sometimes in the morning. I'm like, how am I going with my day? And maybe I'll read something to get over it or I'll go work out. I'll find something, but I don't let it take over my day.
Like what? Can you give me an example of that?
Sure. I'll give you like a vague example. Like I do stuff internationally with Saladeen, and sometimes, we're ordering stuff and it doesn't make it here. And now it's like money's out the window. I have people waiting for stuff and I physically can't make a physical product appear that I can't physically make that was on a ship or supposed to be on a ship. I can't control these people in another country or what happens. So it's like the more you do, you understand the less control you have, but you have to be okay with it, So I think once you understand that, like there's been many times where I've done stuff with Saladeen where we're collaborating with other companies. And when you collaborate with people, or companies especially, you only have so much control. So you have to be understanding where it's like, okay, it's not gonna maybe always come out how you want, or maybe better, but I'm cool with like how it is because I know it's meant to be that way, And sometimes when you do business long enough, like I said, I always look for the positive. When people mess up, that's just a leverage for you to negotiate. Instead of being like, oh my God, well, you guys should do this. It's like, well, this happened and this is what was supposed to happen. So we're gonna need this now. And they know they're in the wrong. And so then you negotiate something. Instead of being hot-headed and it's like, well, this guy's a total whatever. And then they tell their friend in another company, Because every one of these companies are all friends. They've had different jobs, these corporate guys. So that's like the worst thing you do is be hot-headed. The best thing is be cool and calm. You'd be surprised how far it gets you, relationship-wise and even financially-wise with stuff. Because you start realizing other ways to move things around and meet people and put people together with stuff.
So much wisdom, man.
Oh wow, thanks.
There's not a lot of wisdom in the beard. Well, you keep it short. You
got
got a lot of grays in there?
I got a handful of grays.
see.
That's
No,
from stress though, not from wisdom, unfortunately.
No, you're dropping dimes today, my brother. Is it better to and this is just a random question,
What?
but
Oh boy.
being around money, right?
Yeah.
And making a lot of it, is it all that it's set out to be? And do you find happiness in all of these, lavish things in life?
I think it all comes down to personality, but I've been around a lot of wealthy people around the world, and I've seen the ones that are fulfilled and not fulfilled. So I think money's a great tool so you can do cool things, and it gives you freedom. But I think when using money for just like material things, which there's nothing wrong with it, but if you think that's going to fulfill you, it's not, like at all. And the more you do it, you become more jaded. And the more jaded you become, the more material you need. And then you just lose yourself with it, and you're not really happy. Because I've been very fortunate. I've traveled to Africa 5 times. I've been to like 7 or 8 countries there. And you might think like, oh, and I've been in with tribes and everything, living in huts. And you might think never going there at first, like, oh, I feel bad for these people, no electricity, no this. No. They're the happiest people. And maybe ignorance is bliss, I guess. I remember the first time when I was 20 years old or 21 years old. And I remember I went to Zimbabwe and I flew there on a private jet and everything. Like I flew there like the best way you could fly. And I remember we're walking around and meeting these people and they're so happy. And then we went to the next country, went to Uganda, which is known for their tremendous rainforest. And I remember this vividly. We're walking through the rainforest looking for butterflies and stuff with our guide. And there's this lady walking through these giant trees and she has her baby swaddled, like fully swaddled. And she's literally tapping the trees for wine. This woman is walking through nature and she's Mother Nature to her baby and she's sucking, the wine out of a tree. It was like the most like purest, coolest thing ever. And it was like a beautiful day. And I'm like, this lady's living her best life. She's not worried about iPhone, whatever it was on that time. She's not worried about like catching Netflix. She's not worried about nothing. One, she probably didn't know about it, but it's like, she's so happy. She's so happy. I went to an island called Principe once, and it's the furthest Western country in Africa. And while we were there, they ran out of diesel gas, which powered the whole country. And while I was there, I spoke to the manager of the resort, and he was explaining to me how hard it was to get workers. I go, why? I go, this resort's dope, this, that, and the third. He goes, these people don't need to work. I go, why? He goes, what is money going to buy them? He goes, they have their own cattle. They literally can walk 20 feet in the water and fish in deep sea fishing. They get any fish they want. This is how they brought up. Our electricity barely works, so supermarkets keeps nothing fresh. He goes, how do I convince them they need money? So when you start thinking about that stuff, it gets really deep, and it's like, well, what are we doing it all for? And I think, unfortunately, unfortunately, this world, everything comes full circle, and it's, going to become like that where it's going to be agricultural based or something, because the way money's being made now, it's like a millionaire used to be cool, but if you're not making 100 million at some point now, it's like, it ain't nothing. And then there's no money for anybody else. So it's like, eventually it's going a certain way. So I think they have it right there, where it's like, it's cool to have material things, but it doesn't fulfill you. I think it's great to have money. And if that's what you want to do, that's cool. I also have friends that are like big into yoga, and they move to Bali and they're living their best life and they make okay money, but they're very happy. Mm-hmm. So I think it's also like finding your purpose and what makes you happy truly. And that could change. And I think people understanding changing is okay. I think sometimes people get afraid of it, where it's like, well, I used to be into this and my friends are into this, where it's like, you could lose your friends or make new friends or tell your friends you're into this. Don't be afraid of that. But I think some people get afraid of change because they're, especially in America, they're worried about the status quo or how they look to people, where it's like, well, I'm not into, like, I used to have a certain type of car and I don't do certain things I used to do because honestly, I don't really get off on that anymore.
What kind of car was it? I'm just curious.
I had like 4 cars with my brother, but I don't.
What kind of cars?
We had Aston TBS, I think it was. I don't remember anymore. Black Badge Ghost, a Range, McLaren. We had a couple of cars. Some Suburban, Escalade. We had a handful of cars together. But we did it because it was also for the business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
you also seem to live very.
Well, watch this.
You live very humbly too.
Well, I think it's my personality, and also I don't really. I learned because I was fortunate to be around people and see money doesn't really make you happy. Even when we had the cars, I didn't really drive them. Like we had multiple cars. My brother would tell you, like I would take like I would take the most humblest car.
The Range you was about to say, right?
No,
Like, yeah.
I would say anything. My bicycle. Sometimes, whatever. I would like. I could easily. We had a white Ghost of blue interior, electric blue interior. I could take that anytime I wanted to, and I didn't because I was like, I don't really care to, and I don't really care to bring that brings me. Now, when I went to an event or something I was doing where it made sense, I would drive it or the other car because there was a purpose to it. But for me, I'm like, it didn't work for me, but for my brother and what he did for us, it made sense. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like knowing, like, what you're about and finding your way. Everyone has their own thing. So for me, it's not like it doesn't like. I still enjoy those things and think they're beautiful and I have appreciation for them, but I don't get the same excitement from them anymore.
Yeah. What'd you pull up in today?
I don't know.
No, tell me.
A classic.
No, I know, but what is it? I saw a nice little black pickup,
custom pickup.
But what? And it's just kind of blacked out. It seems a little humble though. It's not like you pulled
Everything's
up and
humble.
like,
I'm wearing black right now.
I know, and I love the fit
Like a
too.
ninja.
This is definitely a dad fit, by the way.
I would love to be a dad. I'm working on that right now.
Hey,
Working hard.
there you
Maybe
go.
get some tips.
Yeah.
You know?
Keep trying. There you go. That's the tip.
Oh, okay.
Put in reps.
I'm not even gonna run with that.
There you go. No, but what kind of car is it? Like, talk to me about it.
It's a GMC pickup. It's just fully custom. It was a full restoration off body. It took chassis off, all that stuff. Full paint job.
And it's got two door or four door?
Two door.
Yeah.
I'm not really. I'll be honest. What I'm into more is traveling. Traveling, good dinners. That's where I like put my money and stuff now.
Good dinners. You can take me out anytime, my brother.
You want? We do it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know when that bill comes. I might look at it a little funky.
It's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll barter.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, can we use the GMC or the Rolls? I don't know which one.
We can figure it out. Trust me.
We can utilize. Finding the perfect home is more than just a transaction. It's about finding a place where your family can grow, feel comfortable, and thrive. That's why you need someone who truly cares about your needs and is there to support you every step of the way. Meet Janeska, a dedicated real estate professional with 9 years of experience serving families across the Hudson Valley, covering the Bronx, Westchester, Rockland, and Orange County. As a wife of a first responder and a mother of three, Janeska knows how important it is to find a home that feels right, not just for you, but for your family. Her background as a former educator gives her a unique ability to listen, understand, and guide you with the patience and care, whether you're looking to buy your first home, looking to upgrade, or ready to sell. With her extensive knowledge of the local market and her genuine commitment to helping families navigate the process with ease, Janeska is here to offer you the support, expertise, and reassurance you deserve. Mention Dave from the No Snooze podcast and call Janeska today at 845-694-9067 or email her at jpaulino@kw.com to start your journey home. Talk to the, the entrepreneur that's, just really getting started, and whether it's the side hustle or it's the main hustle, but they're struggling right now. Right? What would you say to that individual that wants to keep moving forward?
Good. If you're not struggling, you're probably doing something wrong because it's not realistic to be succeeding at first. I think a lot of people get scared to struggle, but that's part of it. That's what makes you successful and helps you build and helps you climb because that's what's going to push you. If it was easy, I don't want to be corny, everybody would do it, but if it was easy, it's like where are you going to find that motivation, that discipline, that drive, unless you're a very special person. And when stuff's easy, you become complacent, which is like the most dangerous thing in the world for an entrepreneur, because then you're not moving forward. So I'd say if you're struggling, that's a great thing, and use that to figure out how to make it better. As simple as that sounds, There's
I like it.
It really depends on industry and what that might mean for you. Obviously, it varies, but it's like there's so much opportunity because there's so much information out there, easily, readily available now. Like just how we met. Like we met through Hannah, but I DM'd you a couple of times, and you're like, "Oh, this guy's cool." Like. If social media wasn't around, maybe we get in contact, maybe not. If Hannah would have said, yeah, let's meet up, maybe one day we would have met up. But I started following him, like, I really messed with this guy's vibe. So the same way, if you're struggling, you're in whatever industry, there's so many stories I've heard where people will DM a random person and they'll get a response. I think it's like the old days. I don't remember. I used to read books where it's like people would literally write letters to founders and these letters write letters back to them. Same thing, but you got to reach out. And you can't be like, well, I reached out to 10 people. Oh, okay. Reach out to 1,000 people. Be realistic. Like, be real with yourself. Like, oh, okay. And you'll get a response. So if you're struggling, great. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what this world is.
Wow. What has been the most challenging moment of your life? Whether if it was, I really want to pick your brain on overcoming adversity a little bit. So whether if it was a, close family member that, is no longer with us, or it's a business move that failed, what would you say was the hardest moment in your life, and how did you get through it?
I think the hardest moment in my life, and I think when people think about most lives, is knowing when to end a relationship in general. I think people stick to relationships, whether it be romantic or business-wise, out of comfortability and out of like nervousness, maybe if they think they'll be okay without them. I've had some business dealings where I stayed in relationships probably longer than I should have because I felt I don't like confrontation, and I've gotten better at, not that I want to confront people, but like expressing my feelings now so as not to get to that point of a confrontation with people. I think that's a really good tool, especially as an entrepreneur, to work on, where something's bothering you, knowing how to express yourself, because if you hold on to it, eventually will come out, and it probably won't come out in a good way. So that's definitely something to work on. But I would say that was the hardest thing, knowing, like, I waited too long one time, and I also didn't go about it the best way because it was my first time doing it. So that was the hardest thing, like ending a business relationship, because I don't think I don't know if there's a right way ever to do it. Maybe I guess there is. There's it also. I think it also depends on the counterpart, because everyone needs to understand why they're doing it and really understand, like, the other person would have to understand why I'm doing it. Some people use words and say they do, but their actions speak very differently, so they don't. So that was probably like the hardest and biggest thing to overcome, because then you deal with a lot of other stuff after that, depending how commingled and how long you've had that relationship with somebody.
Where do you want to improve in your life, right? It sounds like the business thing you got kind of on lock, but where do you want to improve?
Where do I want to improve? Probably more personally, my personal life. I've been working on that journey. It's a never-ending one, but I'd say in my personal life, with certain people, how I deal with them, getting better at that. I don't want to get too personal, yeah.
No, but what, so you don't have to give us who the relationships are, but what are you not good at right now that you want to improve?
I think sometimes being fully committed in general with stuff, I dive into too many things, and then I don't fully commit myself because of that. And I think that's something probably handful of people have problems with, where you get excited by something, and you got to understand where it's like, it sounds exciting, but might not be the time to start it, or maybe ever. Because like when you're an entrepreneur, a lot of things are exciting to you, whether it be like, I'm sure you get this, like oh, I come with you an idea, you should invest in this, where it's like, yeah, but maybe it's not a good idea. But it's okay to have a whole rap session or talk or 5 talks about it, but you might not want to use your time for it or money for it, because it's like you have better usage of your time with something you're already involved in. Because realistically, like, you have 100% of yourself. So it's like if you're talking to 10 people, business or whatever you're doing, it's like you're giving 10% or 25% to this person. So it's like you're not able to give all to them, and you got to be honest with yourself with that. So it's like trying to figure out like how to give yourself to each thing you're doing. Kind of, I'm working on that better, and that also applies with finding the right people to cover for you with stuff. Like, like luckily I have good partners on my body shop, so I don't have to do as much. And in other stuff I do, you know what I mean? And finding good people to help you out with stuff. So
I have
that's
another challenging question here too, is how, with those personal relationships that you're struggling with, how are you actively trying to get better?
Well, I reflect on them. I listen to like a handful of podcasts.
You listen to No Snooze?
Of course.
There we go.
Who doesn't? Like, I got up at like 4:30 today. I won't play. Just today though. Too excited. I reflect on them. I listen to certain podcasts, and like I said before, I really feel like when you're looking for answers, they kind of come to you. Like, there's been times where I'm like, oh man, it like almost makes me sick how things slap me in the face, like literally slap me in the face, and I'm like, there's no coincidences that like I read this or I met this person, and I'm like, and I literally gave my answer, whether it be in a book, a Bible, or literally come across a path with someone randomly one day. So I think and I think if people really take the time, which is not easy to reflect. When I say reflect, it doesn't mean like, let me think about it. It's like, literally stop, take the time, and be like, how does that other person feel? Or how should I really respond? Or what advice would I give Dave if Dave is going through this? Because it's very easy to be like, tell other people what to do. It's a lot harder, like you were saying about your ACE thing, to actually execute on something. I could tell you a lot of good ideas right now, Dave, a lot of business ideas. I couldn't execute on any of them. Maybe you can, maybe you couldn't, but it's so easy to tell people what to do. The execution is the hardest thing. That's what separates people from the doers and then people that don't do stuff in life, So that's how I've been working through it, and I've gotten better each day a little bit. It's the small wins. That's how I feel.
What's next for you, man? Just in your life in general, where do you see yourself being in the next few years?
In what respect? In general?
Oh yeah, just give me a synopsis of what the life
I think
looks like.
the thing right now, and maybe it's because I'm 39, the only thing, it's not the only thing I'm focused on. I'm focused on my business I have and building them. Like, I like to get my shop to a place which I'm almost at, where I don't have to be there, which I don't really think is my partner, but like feel like it's like automatic, and that comes down to like just more customer acquisition. I like to be traveling more, and my artist Saladeen getting out more. We have a show actually in Indonesia this year, which is like, I bet he never thought he'd have a solo show in Indonesia in Jakarta, which is like amazing. So the stuff I'm looking forward to, it's already happening. The one thing I would say in my personal life is like, I'd like to definitely be, I think, a dad sooner than later. I don't feel like I'm getting physically old because I try to stay pretty healthy, but there's a lot of fulfillment I've learned from people that are married and people that are dating people they love when you have a really good woman. Meaning like, and I know the difference now on that, where it's like, they're there for you and there's no confusion. And I think it's in different ways. Every man needs a different woman for a different thing. And I kind of come to the realization what I want and what I need. And I think I learned where it's like, once you find the right one, it's so easy, it kind of just works out, I've learned. So that's like somewhat, hopefully in a couple of years happens. But I think it also happens when you're not looking for it. So I just walk around like this now.
Wow. Yeah, man. You're a plethora of knowledge, like even more than I think you realize. How did you think today was going to go?
Just like this.
You did?
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, I'm curious.
I thought it'd go like this when we met at Sir. We had a pretty organic conversation. We were chill, you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, we didn't really start off on the best foot. I was getting Botox. Like, I mean,
I could have judged you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you really took a risk on me here.
No, but I think it's like, again, you're just being honest with yourself. Like, a lot of people try to act like they don't do stuff, but you're like real unapologetically honest about it.
Yeah,
that's the way
I
to
mean,
be.
listen, the crow's toes were starting to bother me back there.
Hannah keeps telling me that. And I tell her, please stop saying that to me.
Stop saying that to me,
That's
right?
what I tell her, yeah.
You're a very interesting dude, man. I'd like to, connect with you further. I want to actually introduce you to my business partner, Sean Degnan, with the ACE stuff as well. I think it'll just be a great connection. I think you would benefit from being involved in that network as well, just even with the body shop and business. And, in terms of health, you mentioned health, right?
Yeah.
What do you do to kind of stay healthy? And what does that look like for you?
I had a little health journey. My whole life, I was pretty normal size. And then I actually got up to about 400 pounds. And
wait, me and CV are like, wait.
And
how much you weigh right now?
now, I'm not happy right now. I don't know. If I had to guess, like 240, 250 right now, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you were 400 pounds.
Yeah. So I had when I got up to, it happened for various reasons. I was working for that family for a long time, and they had a private chef. And again, as you said so eloquently, people like me. And when I want to get to befriend someone, I'm like, oh, private chef. So I was like, he'd make me whatever I wanted. And when you're in households like that, they just use a lot of butter and just stuff, everything tastes good. So I was just gaining a lot of weight. But, and then also my concierge, like when you're getting up and driving so much, you usually don't make the best decisions when you're on the road. You know what I mean? You're buying like the worst stuff because you need stuff fast. So I got up to about 400 pounds, and I tried a couple times to lose weight, and I had lost the weight, whether through a juice cleanse once, working out a couple times, but I gained it back each time.
Working out a couple times.
Yeah, like 3-4 times.
3-4
No.
times, yeah.
I have very good friends that love me, and like I was pretty healthy up until the age I was like 28 or 30, and then it got to the point where I was like, wow. Like I was over 300 pounds for like 6 years of my life, maybe 7, something like that. And I was over 350 for about 4 years at least. And so a lot of my friends, like, they were like worried and like, you need to lose weight. And everyone takes a different approach. Some people yell at you to do it. Some people talk too nicely. But what everyone doesn't know, and what taught me a lot, and this is why how I know how to deal with people, nobody's gonna change at all until they're ready to change. Period. And I think so many people think they're gonna change someone. You're not gonna change a person you're dating. You're not gonna change you're not gonna change anybody. You're not gonna change your brother. You're not gonna change your sister. The sooner you accept the person for who they are, it's so much easier to live your life. There's people I deal with that I know are shicey, and I have no problem dealing with them because I'm so aware of their personality and I know what to look out for. So I never get upset when they do something. I get more upset, like, damn, I missed it this time. I also don't try to deal with people like that much, obviously, but I'm aware of it. So it got to the point where I was like roly-poling to get out of bed. And I'm like, this is fucking nuts. Tying my shoe was like,
It's crazy, right?
somewhat of exercise. And I remember rolling out of bed one day and I was like, damn, man. I was like, I think I was 36, and I'm 397 pounds at the time, because I remember like the last time I weighed myself, and I go, I could lose this weight, or I keep going how I'm going. I go, I live in America. I was like, I feel like to lose weight, all you need is clean water You know what I mean? Because you got to, like, water's like the most important thing, and sleep and eating right. I go, I'm in a country where I can pretty much, people question the food thing, whatever, but pretty much get everything I need to lose weight. I go, so this is the only thing. I said, business, other stuff is so many variables. This is like the only thing that I have full control over. Nobody can stop me from what I want to do. No one makes me eat what I want to eat. No one makes me drink, like all that stuff. I go, but I have such an addictive personality with stuff. I was like, I need like some sort of cheat code. I go, if there's some way I couldn't eat for like a handful of months, it'd be great. I was like, and I had a friend who, his wife, she's a doctor at NYU. She actually prescribed me Ozempic, like like 4 years ago before it was big. And I was like, nothing, do what you want to do. But I was like, I didn't want to put something in my body that's going to stop my body from doing something. Even when I was a kid, I had ADD. I stopped taking Ritalin within like months. I told my parents, I never wanted to put something in my body that's going to change me. And if people do it, that's no problem. But for me, I was like, that doesn't make sense because I know eventually I'm going to have to up the dosage. And then eventually when I get off of it, it's going to be hard. So I never took Ozempic. And again, nothing wrong with that if that's what you do. But I also believe if you're taking something that hasn't been around for a long time, be aware that there might be some stuff you find out 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Hopefully not. But so I decided to get gastric bypass surgery because I was like, yeah, if I get that, then I won't eat physically because they take your stomach out basically. I was like, hey, there you go. And I had a couple guy friends or my age or older that got it. And so I interviewed them, kind of like sat down, talked to them. But one thing I noticed about a handful of them is they get the surgery, then a year or two later, or 3 years later, it's like they almost look the same. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And then I learned, just like anything in life, nothing is easy, zero cheat code at all. So even though you get the surgery, eventually your stomach's a muscle, grows back. So if you don't change your lifestyle, like, yeah, it's a little bit cheat code, whatever, but if you decide you want to start eating bread or whatever, you want to start eating like an animal, eventually you gain all the weight back, and probably more, honestly, like anything. So I made a conscious decision that once I got the surgery and I was getting put under anesthesia, like, I'm doing all this serious stuff. I was like, I'm gonna take this seriously. So after I got the surgery, or before or whatever, I had spoken to my Dr. Maffei in Valhalla, I think he is, great doctor. Dr. Anthony Maffei, if you want to get the surgery, is amazing. I said, what is the first day I can work out? He's like, probably within 6 weeks. It depends on something, whatever. So I had already lined up a personal trainer and everything. I started buying my meals from Factor. I go, I'm gonna take every excuse out the book. So I bought like a 32-ounce container for water. I had started putting my phone on sleep at 10 p.m., like sleep, do not disturb, whatever, and all that stuff. And literally week 6, I was with Rachel like 3 times a week, then Orange Theory. And that was it for 6 months straight. And I lost 190 pounds in 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going ham.
Holy shit.
I got down to 208.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you've gotten a little bit higher. You're 240,
Well, you know
250,
and
that's fine.
You know what it is? It was one night I went out and I hadn't drank, and someone convinced me to drink, and then it was downhill from there, I think. And I was like, wow, I didn't know I could drink again. Now it's downhill, but it's like anything, goes in waves. But I also make sure I do certain things because I was like, I never want to get back that big. So I maintained a little bit, and now I'm trying to find new things. And it's also like connecting with people like-minded that kind of push you a little bit. That's why I saw the stuff you do, and I was like, I want to connect with this guy because I know from around these people, it's going to push me, whether they tell me not to do it, I'm going to be like, damn, I kind of want to get in shape again. And it's going to make me do it. Like, I went to the gym this morning.
You had to. There was no option.
I was like, Dave the body? Nah. Or in the big religion? Hell yeah. I'm coming in. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Get my reps in.
Talk to somebody who's trying to lose weight out here. And also the difference of mindset. I have a theory, and it's, again, just my own personal theory. I don't believe that, like, being fat is something that people like out here, right? I think the food that we consume as Americans, it does set us up in a negative way at times. And I think negative thoughts and stress cripple us just as a society. But even Fat Joe is out here skinny now.
Yeah.
Because it's not cool to be fat, right? And I'm not saying that as somebody who's not fat. I'm saying that by my experience from working with a lot of people who are obese, who truly, even individuals who have told me, oh, listen, like, I'm happy where I'm at. I don't think you're happy where you're at. And again, maybe somebody who has been in that, I know what it's like to be skin and bones and then to need to put muscle on, right? But talk to somebody who's struggling with that journey, and I guess what it's done for your confidence when you were able to, get to the other side.
Yeah. I think, again, there's some people are just big people in general, but I think there's a healthy weight you could be at. There was an analogy I heard recently where it's like nobody really chooses to be fat. People are like, oh, he's choosing to because he's eating. It's like, nah. It's like when you wake up in the morning and you put a purple shirt on instead of the red shirt, you choose that shirt. Like if I went up to you and I was like, hey, if someone's big and I was like, hey, you take this special pill right now and you'll be like the best shape. Would you not want to take that pill, you think? I'm pretty sure everyone's going to take the pill. So if they would choose to be that. So like anything, it's like, it's habit and it's consistency. When I started, like I had to lose 40 pounds to get the surgery because I intentionally chose an insurance policy that maybe get to weight. A lot of people, what they'll do is when they get the surgery, they have to get to a certain weight, and what they'll do is they'll go on a liquid diet 2 weeks before. That's the dumbest thing you could do. That's setting it for failure because you're not going to be on a liquid diet the rest of your life, right? So why would you do that to lose the weight you need to lose? Like anybody loses weight on a liquid diet, right? So I went on a realistic diet. I was eating like 2 meals a day, 2 protein shakes, and I was walking/jogging because I was 397 pounds. You know what I mean? So it's like, do realistic stuff. I remember, it was sad. I remember I couldn't even do I don't want to be sexist, a male push-up when I was
we call those modified push-ups.
All right, whatever. I'm old school, bro. I'm not from 89, man. I'm from 85, right, bro? You can keep that modified shit. I was doing female push-ups. I'm modified. So I remember I started out doing like 5 modified push-ups a day, but eventually it's like, just like anything, even when I was above 350, I started getting back, like you have muscle memory. I started getting back to real push-ups. So I tell people, and I've actually helped my friend, one of my best friends, Meyer, who is 330 pounds. I have a couple guys that give me like props. So instead of getting surgery, I tell them, don't get the surgery because like anything, there's certain things that could happen. I'm not talking about death, but there's certain things I still got to deal with, whatever, that if I would have known, maybe I would have tried harder. They're not the worst things, but they're kind of annoying. So it's like any guy tries to lose weight, I always tell him first, try a couple things. And I keep it so simple. I go, if you're serious about it, there's a couple things you could do. One, I suggest like a little bit of fasting. Like you don't eat breakfast unless you really need it. Like when I was fasting, I was kicking ass. 1, that. 2, push-ups in the morning. Like eventually get up to 100 push-ups. You don't need to do in a row, 20, 25 at a time, whatever. Everybody could do that. And squats, body squats. You do those 2 things and you drink a good amount of water and you're good sleep, you're straight. And you don't eat like shit. That's it. Don't eat like shit, sleep and drink water and push-ups. That's all you have to do. And then if you throw pull-ups in there, then it's a wrap. Like that's all you have to do literally, and you'll be great.
I'll throw walking in there or jogging.
Well, I hope you're walking.
Okay. All right.
But no, but I get it. You know, if you could do that, that'd be a great thing too. But I'm just saying, like like when you start doing proper push-ups and squats, your body alone, because if you're heavy, you're moving stuff, and it's like your body's gonna form a great way. Like you don't need to do an hour in the gym. You could do that, and you might want to, but you don't need to. I don't think.
I agree with you, 100%.
But if you're a real man, once you start feeling kind of good, you're like, damn, what else could I do? And you start doing more and more.
And then you join Ace.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yo, how didn't this come up earlier in the episode?
Which part?
That you were 400 pounds, bro. Like that just casually came out.
Well, you brought up health.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm very much like that's my introvert. I don't really I'm not like.
You're not gonna come out here and be like, I was fat as hell.
Not now. You know what it is? A lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with it. Again, that's my introvert side where it's like a lot of people like during my journey, I could have been posting, doing all this stuff to get likes because that's like a big thing. But it's like I didn't care to. I'm like, I'm losing weight for myself, not because I want likes. Like I could have easily, when I started doing 10, 15 pull-ups, I posted that because I was proud of that on my story. Because that's not easy to do. I don't care even if you're in shape.
You're doing 15 pull-ups?
Not right now.
That's good. No.
I was doing 10 real deal ones. Not like 10, 15.
I do military style. Legs full out straight.
Yeah. So it's like not a lot of people, I don't care if even if they're in shape or doing real pull-ups. They be doing that bullshit. So like there's certain things I was proud of. So I posted it. Also, my trainer was like, can you repost it? I'm like, yeah, of course. Because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I wouldn't post a lot of what I did because it's like, I'm not doing it for them. I think a lot of people do stuff for other people. And that's where people get confused with what they like and what's important to them because now you're doing stuff for other people. I try to do anything I post or do, it's usually like business related, whether they think it or not, or I'll post like a quote I really like. Like I'll post stuff sometimes and people are like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I just read this quote and I thought it was cool.
Right.
I'm not like who broke your heart? I'm like, nobody broke my heart. Yeah. Maybe someone did, but nobody at that time broke my heart. I just posted it because I wanted to. I don't post my personal stuff.
Yep. No, I get that. I'm like the opposite. I kind of post everything because it's just an accountability thing for me too. To just
I
put
think
things
it's cool to
out
post
there.
everything. I think some people are too caught up on posting like their personal stuff or stuff they really want to do to get attention. I think it's fine.
Right.
But people then get caught up. It's like they're doing it for other people, literally.
You know, but also there's so much hate on social media. Like people don't even know, really what I kind of deal with sometimes on the back end. Like every time I post like a Q&A, I get some clown that like comes in, creates a fake account and is like, yo, you're a fraud. This is the phoniest shit I've ever heard in my life. And it's bad because I feel like I think I know who these people are, but I just continue to do it. And I don't really, sometimes I even give them clout by like reposting their nonsense. But like even the other day, right? Like I posted something. It was me like jamming out in the car to like just a song that I was really feeling myself.
What song?
It's called Trust in God.
Okay.
Right. And it's a worship song that I just enjoy. I enjoy that song. I enjoy Gyra. I enjoy like a lot of these songs. And I was just reflecting as I was driving, like, wow, man, like I'm proud of the life that I currently have. Of course, I want more of everything. I want abundance in every aspect of my life. But, you know, for me, I know where I was at, and a lot of people just didn't know. I was struggling with anxiety and depression, still putting things out and moving forward, but people didn't know the dark time that I was in. So like God has just, you know, really shown up for me. And, you know, I'm just driving in the car and I post it later because one thing about me is funny. People think when I post, I'm doing what it is that I actually post. I'm not. I set my posts, move on throughout my day, right? So about 3 hours later, I ended up posting this video and I said like, wow, like I'm just so grateful to God. Like I've been able to do a full 360 in my life, right? But the reality of a full 360, if you think about it, is like I'm standing here and I turn around and boom, you're in the same exact place, right? So the real analogy is, you know, a 180.
Right.
I got people that have never even said anything to me on my social media, never liked, never reached out, never commented. Yo, I had 57 DMs from people like that saying, yo, it's a 180, not a 360. My point in sharing that is people are just out here looking for you to mess up.
Oh, yeah.
And make mistakes, right? So, like, I think it's a good thing for people who can't handle that, like, I just don't give a fuck, to be honest. Like, I'm going to be my authentic self. I'm going to put it out. And I even posted like, damn, you guys are right. Thanks for keeping me on my toes. Because it's just easier. But in my head, after I thought about it, I'm like, yo, I don't even know some of these people. Yeah. Two, I know some of these people and they're just lurkers. They just follow, look at everything you're doing. The moment you post something like that, and it's not a big thing, but now you want to jump in, right? So it's just something to be mindful of on social media. And I think it's a good approach not to post things and just do it for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. People want to, see, people are just like, they're just not happy with themselves. Anybody doing stuff like that, like you said, they're waiting for you to do something, even as like stupid as that. It's not like trivial as that. It's like, who really cares? They know what you meant. Like there's some times when people say stuff and I'm like, Oren, don't. Not, I'm even in person. Like I have to like literally have a full conversation because like I know what they meant. I don't need to critique them. That's why I used to get myself in trouble. Like, really, Oren? So it's like, yeah, it's sad, but I feel bad for those people because I know they're not happy.
And that's
like
what
literally.
I had an extensive conversation with my girlfriend about it. You know, and she was kind of just saying the same thing. Like, you know, it's an insecurity kind of amongst themselves. And you get the people who are just being funny anyway. Like, yo, it's 180, bro. Like, that's fine. Yeah. Like, I get that. But I'm talking about the people who, like, actively reached out to me who I've never had one thread
They were dying to.
I've had never any form of contact with these individuals. And that's the one thing that they've said after everything that they've looked at and followed for the past couple of years.
It's because you're so authentic and they can't even let their authentic self be out on social media, probably even in person. That's a big thing for people. It took me a while to be confident or like be out there with people and like show people who I am. Like I'll be honest, anybody knows me for a while. Like I'm not hated, but I was never big into being like, in front of cameras or doing like podcasts. And I never even really wanted to or cared to. There's some people that love this stuff and that's great, but it's not really for me. But now I do a little more because it's also, I think, important to get info out because sometimes there's so much stuff out there that people see that's so incorrect or maybe not fully correct, or like the questions you ask where it's like, yeah, life is hard, man. It ain't easy. Everyone want to make it seem that way because they want to sell you something, you know, but it's like, no, and it's supposed to be hard. And it's good if it's hard because it means you're doing something. You know, don't get confused. Like, that's a great thing when stuff's hard. And then it's like, you know, not to be cliche, it's like, then you could appreciate stuff so much more when it's harder. Because like, how do you appreciate anything that's easy? You can't.
Well, I appreciate you, my brother. Not that you're easy by any means. You
no,
know what I mean? I don't wanna go there. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
Share with us where everybody can. Well, first, let me ask you this: is there anything that you want to touch on that I did not bring out of you today?
I think you touched on everything, pretty much. Well, yeah, yeah. I think we covered enough. Yeah.
No, it was a good conversation. I really enjoyed it, to be honest. You know, I typically enjoy all of my conversations, but this was one that felt very like genuine, authentic. You know, I have my notes obviously, but I didn't really need them today. So that was a good conversation. Let's send people your way. So if you would be kind enough to talk to the people and let everybody know where they can find you, your body shop, whatever artwork you may be working on, whatever you want. Sure.
You can find my artist, King Saladeen, on Instagram under the name KingSaladeen. You could also find my body shop, No Limit Yonkers. And then myself, Oren.Shneider with 2 R's on Instagram.
I love it.
Simple.
Man. Yeah, simple.
You know,
It's good stuff, man.
you still hop on that caffeine? You still got something in that
No,
jar?
I'm empty, and that's how I know that I got to end
That's
the
how I know it's over.
podcast. Yeah. I'm like, you saw me. I looked in there. I'm like,
Yeah.
This was good stuff today, my brother. I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to the continued relationship. And also, now it makes sense that you said you want to take me to dinner because you like food. I get that.
I like food. It's scary. Sometimes you eat a lot. Sometimes you eat nothing. It's hilarious.
And I want to pick your brain on the fasting thing too, but we'll do that. We'll do that off air. Guys, just want to say thank you for tuning in. Whether you listen to 1 or 211 with Oren, the most interesting man.
Oh, wow.
The big religion, Schneider. Went all over the place today, man. It was awesome. Thank you. Very grateful for you guys. If you guys would just be kind enough to share the show, we continue to grow. We were a top 10% podcast on Spotify in 2024, Oren. This is no joke. And that's only because people tune in, they like what they hear. So now, today, welcome to the family.
I appreciate
you're
that.
a big part of
Congratulations.
that. Thank you very much.
That's awesome. You know why that is? You just said a couple reasons. This is the 211th podcast. You didn't stop. I'm sure at the first 11, first 50, nothing was probably no traction. People stopped
First
early.
150.
I was being modest because people don't, but it's like, but the number's different for everyone. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what it comes down to, where it's like, 8, that's a lot of podcasts to do where to get that traction where people stop. It's like, that's the struggle right there. You could have been like 50 in. That's still a lot great to do. But it's like, if you were to stop there, you know what I mean?
Sometimes I got to pull my boy with me over here. You know what I mean? CV sometimes. He's like, He told me no 4 times to start this podcast.
That's part of it.
Because there's not money in podcasting per se.
You know what
right?
it is?
So that's a whole different thing.
In Judaism, if you want to convert, they try to convince you 3 times not to convert to make sure you really want to convert. And maybe that was his way to make sure you really want it.
Whoa. Wow.
CV knows what he's doing.
That's my guy
You got to
right
trust
there.
the
Yeah,
process.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
So as always, you can shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. And until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
You blew me away, my brother.
Oh, yeah?
All from a DM. Thank you for sliding in. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's another epi in the books. You can follow us on Instagram at No Snooze Podcast and leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. Come on.